Ronica, you chased Governor Christie to Keansburg. What do you got?
The governor held an event today in Keansburg where he allowed the press to ask some questions. And I wanted to know his thoughts on the recent Supreme Court decision as it relates to Hobby Lobby. Now, basically, the Supreme Court has allowed Hobby Lobby to exclude birth control coverage from their employees' health plan, something that the Affordable Care Act does require, saying that Hobby Lobby can exclude it based on religious principles. So I asked the governor how he feels about that decision, and more specifically, how he thinks it will impact those in New Jersey, because there are 3 Hobby Lobby locations in the state.
Some people are very hot about this decision, one way or the other, happy or sad. Like I said to you, first of all, I haven't read the decision yet, and I eventually will, but even when I do, it's not something that's going to, I think, significantly affect day-to-day life here in New Jersey.
To clarify, Hobby Lobby does offer certain contraceptions, but not everything in terms of what they were allowed to take, some exceptions and some exclusions. I have to say I'm a little surprised. Governor Christie is headed to Iowa at the end of July. He's clearly on some track to become a national player in the Republican Party and go on and run for president. For him not to have an opinion on this or not to have read it, it just strikes me as odd.
He's very flippant about the discussion of his presidential ambitions. That came up today as well. And he said, you know what, you can't look at everything I do through a magnifying glass and say it will or will not impact my potential presidential aspirations. So it was very surprising to hear him not take a side and really not play into
And why
this at
say
all.
something like that? It's outrageous. We know that every candidate that wants to put themselves in a position to become president is under scrutiny. You know, I get it when it's personal stuff, but for a major landmark Supreme Court decision, come on.
To sit back and say you can't look at my life right now through the lens of presidential aspirations is just naive. Why are you spending so much time traveling across the country, campaigning and raising money?
But it does speak to Governor Christie's efforts in the past few days and weeks to have this image of, you know, the friendly guy who's not so much concerned about his presidential path, but, you know, dancing with Jimmy Fallon, playing baseball out, you know, in the baseball field. Governor Christie is more concerned about that image at the moment.
But you can't have it both ways. All you have to do is Google Christie and Obama, and you see how many times he's mentioned national policy in the last month. You can't decide to not have an opinion when it politically expedient.
The interesting thing is that key Democratic players have taken a stand on this nationally. We've seen Senator Booker take a stand on this, Hillary Clinton take a stand on this. It would make sense that if Governor Christie wants to play with the big dogs, he would take a stand.
I think specifically for a Republican primary, I'm sure there are a lot of voters out there that would have liked to hear, you know what, score 1 for religious liberty and private property and private decision-making and move forward.